The OnePlus 9 Pro was the first OnePlus phone to come out with the camera collaboration with Hasselblad. And while most reviews criticize the actual benefits of this collaboration, in 2025, I think the 9 Pro is actually a really underrated phone that gives you quite a lot of value for the money. So this day in the life, I'll be taking the OnePlus 9 Pro through its paces to see what it's really like to use in 2025 and if this is the perfect phone that gives you that premium feel without that premium price tag. It's currently now 9:05, our battery percentage is 100%. Let's get into this day in the life. Okay, I've officially made it to campus. It is now currently 10:07. Battery percentage is at 88%. Now time to head to my meeting. Alright, so it's now 11:15. The battery percentage is now at 80%. We finish up the meeting. Let's talk about the display on the OnePlus 9 Pro. The OnePlus 9 Pro is equipped with a pretty high-end display. It's a 6.7-inch AMOLED panel with a 120Hz LTPO refresh rate. When it comes to watching content on the OnePlus 9 Pro, everything looks really nice with a billion colors and a QHD+ resolution. It also has HDR10+ notification for all of your streaming apps. Now, the only issue that I have with the OnePlus 9 Pro in 2025 is that it doesn't get very bright. With 1300 nits of peak brightness, it is a bit hard to see in brighter environments, even on a cloudy day like today. In conclusion, the OnePlus 9 Pro's display is very high-end, especially for a phone that came out 4 years ago, but does suffer from a lack of brightness and doesn't have all the fancy bells and whistles that a lot of the newer phones have, like high PWM dimming and the such. But overall, if you are looking for a phone with a high resolution, 120Hz refresh rate and great color, the OnePlus 9 Pro fits all of those criteria and deserves an A- grade. Alright, now it's 11:28. I think it's time to get some lunch. Let's get going. Alright, so it's now currently 12:06. Battery percentage is now at 71%. Let's talk about the cameras on the OnePlus 9 Pro. And as I said in the beginning of the video, this was the first OnePlus collaboration with Hasselblad for those colors and a bit of those tuning on the cameras. And honestly, these cameras are pretty interesting. One thing that I will note is that the ultra-wide camera here is actually pretty impressive compared to what you get on more recent phones today. For example, it has a larger sensor than the current OnePlus 13, which is actually kind of insane, but it only has an 8-megapixel telephoto camera. So let's take a few pics. I got my friends over here gonna be modeling. And to help me take some photos, I've got my friends here at Telesin who have sent me out their camera magnetic grip to help me take some photos. The Telesin magnetic grip is the perfect addition to your smartphone photography kit, featuring an ergonomic designed hand grip and DSLR style camera controls. With a 2-step press function, one to lock focus and the second to take a photo, this makes taking photos feel like you're using a DSLR camera. There are also quick zoom functions and mode changing buttons to quickly adapt to whatever situation you're shooting in. It's got super strong magnets on both the front and back, so you can adjust for vertical, horizontal, back and front. The actual controls can also come off, so you can use it as a remote for more flexibility while shooting. There's also a thread on the bottom so you can place it on a tripod. If you're interested in checking out the Telesin camera grip for yourself, check the link in the description. Now let's talk about the cameras on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Starting with the main camera, we get some solid dynamic range, colors and exposure across each image. The balance of tones is also consistent, which is great to see, and overall, images coming from the main camera are very nice. On the ultra-wide camera, images look very similar in tone and detail as the main camera. Images have good dynamic range and are very consistent. On the telephoto lens, images are also quite consistent with the overall colors, tones, and exposure from the other two main lenses, but when you zoom in, the 8-megapixel resolution starts showing through with much more softness. Turning on portrait mode, we get some nice clear bokeh, but sometimes the subject detection misses. So on the video side, the OnePlus 9 Pro can actually shoot up to 8K on both the main and the ultra-wide cameras, which is pretty unusual because most phones can only shoot 8K on the main cameras, but because of the larger sensor and the high resolution on the ultra-wide camera, the OnePlus 9 Pro can do it. Now there is one downside, which is that you can't shoot 4K on the telephoto lens because there's an 8-megapixel sensor. But altogether, both the ultra-wide and the main cameras are actually pretty high-end and are still pretty reasonable even in 2025. So altogether, the cameras on the OnePlus 9 Pro are still pretty cool even in 2025, but they're not super high-end or amazing at that. You are losing out on the telephoto lens, but the main and ultra-wide cameras are very good. So the OnePlus 9 Pro deserves a B+ grade for its cameras. Alright, let's head up to campus now. Alright, so it's now currently 202, aperture percentage is at 36%. Now let's talk about the performance on the OnePlus 9 Pro. And it's being powered by the Snapdragon 888, which is still a very powerful processor even in 2025. The 888 was a pretty big revolution within the processor industry, being the first 5nm chipset for any Android phone, and is honestly still even pretty capable to this day. Multitasking, going between different apps, launching apps has been super snappy and quick, along with the 12GB on this model that I have here. Now I do know that some OnePlus 9 Pros only have 8GB of RAM, so make sure that you find the one with 12GB of RAM because you're definitely going to benefit from that. And when you turn to gaming, you can play Genshin Impact on high graphics and 30 FPS with pretty much no issues. And overall, for a 4-year-old phone, this is still very impressive performance and deserves a B+ grade. Alright, now I'm going to get some work done, and then we'll keep going on with this day in the life. Alright, so it's now currently 3:43. Our battery percentage is now at 23%. So not looking too good, but remember this is a 4-year-old phone, so it's kind of to be expected. But let's talk about the design of the OnePlus 9 Pro. The OnePlus 9 Pro's design is actually quite nice. It's a very sleek phone with a frosted glass matte back and Gorilla Glass 5 on the front. Obviously not the best materials in 2025, but it still feels very premium and looks very nice and feels very nice to the touch. I honestly think that this is a very nice design that with IP68 water and dust resistance, it still holds up very well in 2025. So on the design side, quite a nice touch. But I'm gonna get going and we'll continue talking about the features and the software of the OnePlus 9 Pro. Okay, we're taking a quick stop at Petone Beach. Battery percentage is now at 16%, it's 417. Now, talking about the software, the OnePlus 9 Pro is running Android 14. Now, unfortunately, it only gets about 3 major OS upgrades, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's kind of typical for OnePlus, which means that Android 14 is the last upgrade that the OnePlus 9 Pro will get, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's still very smooth and runs very efficiently. It's very optimized, and I really like Oxygen OS. It's a very, very good UI. So I still think it's still decent, but if you are looking for more upgrades, Android 15 or 16, won't be able to find it here. Now let's keep going. And looking at the features on the OnePlus 9 Pro, we get some pretty fast charging, like 65W wired charging and 50W wireless charging, along with the optical fingerprint scanner, which isn't very conveniently placed. It's quite low near the bottom of the screen. It's pretty annoying when you're trying to use it one-handedly, but it's there as well. So overall, the OnePlus 9 Pro's features, design, and software gets a B+, mainly due to its very premium design and nice features, but it is lacking a lot of software support as it pretty much doesn't have any from now on. But other than that, a flagship-worthy feature set. And if you're wondering how I'm lighting up my face right now, I'm using the magnetic ring light from Telesin, which is super useful for vlogging. My friend Xiaomi just sent me a photo. Let's take a quick look. What does it say on it? Subscribe to Upwards. Well, you guys know what to do. Subscribe to the channel. Alright, it is now currently 5:36. The battery percentage is now at 1%. So let's take a look at the battery usage of the OnePlus 9 Pro to see how it did during the day. And obviously, as it's not even 6 PM, the OnePlus 9 Pro does not pass my day in the life test. Now, do keep in mind that this is a 4-year-old phone and already has a degraded battery life, so it is kind of to be expected. And taking a look at the battery usage, we can see that we've had a screen on time of 4 hours since we last charged it, which was around 9 AM. And altogether, it's not that great. From what I've seen on the internet, a lot of people have noted that the OnePlus 9 Pro didn't have great battery life when it first launched, which is one of the weaknesses of this phone. So do bear that in mind if you are still thinking of buying the OnePlus 9 Pro in 2025. For the battery performance, I am giving it a B- grade. So let's wrap up my thoughts about the OnePlus 9 Pro in 2025. This phone gets a 74 out of 100 or a B grade rating, which is pretty decent for a 4-year-old flagship phone. Now, the best parts about this phone is definitely its display, which is still very top tier even in 2025, alongside its really good main and ultra-wide cameras and decent feature set. The performance is still better than some mid-range phones that are still being released today, and honestly, the optimization of the OnePlus 9 Pro is very top tier. The only issues with this phone is that the battery life isn't great and the software support is already gone. But if those things don't matter to you as much, then the OnePlus 9 Pro could be the best value for money for you. Alright, that wraps up this video. I'm Upwards. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next video.